Good evening and Merry Christmas. Tonight, as many of you gather with family and friends, there are reminders of how fortunate we all are. Coming up, a holiday gift. 2 children from Mongolia brought to Fargo Moorhead recently for life-saving open heart surgery. It's part of the Children's Heart Project led by a local physician, Dr. Susan Vitalis. Now, since Mongolia has no pediatric heart surgeon, it would be the children's only chance at survival. And at this time of giving, what better gift than this? From the hills of Outer Mongolia to the Red River Valley, WDAY 6 News presents Flight for Life. Far from the streets of Mongolia's capital city of Ulaanbaatar, miles from the statues of Lenin and ancient warriors, you will find in the mountains the nomads of Mongolia. For centuries, they have called these mountains of Asia home. Horses, camels, and sheep, a way of life for these herders. With a view of the world, 16-year-old monk buyer calls this home. On top of a hill overlooking this range of mountains, the felt-covered home called a gear. It is where the Children's Heart Project of Samaritan's Purse and Fargo native Dr. Susan Vitalis come to find monk buyer for his life-saving trip to Fargo, North Dakota. It is a clear day, warm. Monk buyer's family comes from a lineage of herders and nomads, a way of life for generations. His 9 brothers and sisters, along with his parents, live in the felt-covered pole structure, which is moved every 2 weeks. The goats and horses needing the green grass. They endure North Dakota-type winters inside this felt tent. Today, as the family prepares to say goodbye to monk buyer, a sheep is killed, the organs cooked and given to the guests, who are about to bring this son to the Red River Valley for his life-saving heart surgery. Monk buyer's father cooks another meal outside. The kids pose for pictures. For the next 6 weeks, life will change forever. Back in the city, a much different story. For the last 2 months, 15-year-old Betchemik lay waiting for her name to make it on the list. Her heart is failing quickly. Because there is no pediatric heart surgeon in Mongolia, the only cardiologist for 2.5 million people determines who will go to America for the operations. In a dark, run-down, Russian-built hospital, it is clear she needs the life-saving operation. In another part of the hospital, a party. Those who have come to America, Chicago, Minneapolis, Mayo Clinic, San Diego. Children from Mongolia now alive because of the Children's Heart Project. In addition, those children come who are on the list, waiting for the surgery. They are all faces of innocence here because someone cares about them. The list of those needing to come to America is long. Betchemik anxiously watches those children who recently came to America for the surgery. In yet another part of the hospital, babies who will die unless they get the life-saving heart surgery.
Three kids died from the heart disease.
To see them healthy looking and smiling, how can you not help these kids? How can you not help them?
Today, Betchemik can only sit back and watch. Will she return home healed like these 2 babies? Will surgeons in North Dakota be able to help her? Now her father weeps. Betchemik lost her mother recently, and the father knows his daughter's condition is so bad, she may not make it back to Mongolia. At the airport, the families gather. 2 children who have lived the nomadic life, now on their way to a strange but welcoming land. It will be a time of joy and renewal and a time of change.
She said that's a Mongolian flag.
In Fargo, the host church and community volunteers waited for the weary Mongolian travelers to arrive.
They've been traveling for a long time.
Children held heartwarming, welcoming signs, flowers, as the plane pulled up to the terminal. The kids waited to see their new friends, who had been flying for 2 days.
Hi, Susan. Hi. Welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
Smiles and handshakes replaced language as the people of Fargo-Moorhead welcomed the Mongolian children.
A long trip. We all love you. How are you doing? Betchameg.
A homecoming for Dr. Susan Vitalis, who coordinates the Children's Heart Project for Samaritan's Purse. Fargo is home. On this day, she helped escort Monkbuyer and Betchameg to the Red River Valley for the life-saving valve surgery.
Betchameg actually, we were very eager to get her here. Her heart is very large. She has a lot of congestive heart failure already. She's on medications, as many as she can, and so she really, she wouldn't be alive a year from now.
The 2 kids will join dozens from Kosovo, Nigeria, Bosnia, and Mongolia who have come to America for the surgery and returned home healthy.
Yeah, this project is so unique because we can look back and we've brought 118 kids now to the United States, and each one of them would have died without surgery, and all of them did not have the surgery available in their country. So we can look back and say these are all kids that would have died and now can live full normal lives, and that will be the case with these 2 also.
The trip over was long, but the test for everyone was yet to come. Both Monkbuyer and Betchameg saw Moorhead dentist Dr. Chris Matheson, who volunteered to check out their teeth before surgery, a requirement. And it would be a heart echo test that would quickly change the tone of the children's visit.
Very abnormal mitral valve. Number one, the left atrium and the left ventricle are very, very severely dilated. The mitral valve annulus is dilated as well as a consequence. The valve leaflets are very abnormal. They're calcified with rolled leaflet edges in such a way that they don't even meet at the midline. They don't seal adequately as of the atrium, the left upper chamber. Just so you can have an idea, we usually like to see the same size ratio between the aortic root, which is this thing, and the left atrium. So if you can imagine, it should be these markers are 1 centimeter each, okay? So it should be a couple of centimeters or so to be equal to this. It's huge.
Betchameg's heart was far worse than anyone had imagined. The operation was moved up once doctors saw what they were dealing with. No one had seen a heart this enlarged ever.
This is a very severely affected heart.
Suddenly, grave concern over Betchameg's chances of even surviving the operation. Because of this, her father was contacted in Mongolia and was told of the bad news. He told the medical team to go ahead, knowing it was his daughter's only chance to survive at all. Dr. Roxanne Newman of Americare volunteered to perform the valve replacement surgeries.
You know, for so long you got information and emails and that stuff, and now you finally have a patient. It's totally different.
Quickly earning the class clown label, Monkbuyer was first into the operating room. His condition going in, good. Inside, a maze of medical supplies, OR staff, and Fargo native Dr. Susan Vitalis, coordinator of the Children's Heart Project. Working alongside Dr. Roxanne Newman, the cardiothoracic surgeon, her husband, Greg Lamley, a physician's assistant. For 2 hours, they worked to install an artificial valve that would change Monkbuyer's life forever. Without it, he had no chance.
Yeah, that's what I said. It doesn't even look like you have any motion in the poster leaflet at all there. Give me another 200 then off.
The surgery went perfectly. As Monkbuyer was taken out of the operating room, Dr. Vitalis went up to tell his mother the good news.
Two thumbs up. The surgery went great.
The mother smiled through her tears of joy, but now the challenge was ahead for everyone. Benjamin, the 15-year-old, given very little chance of making it through the operation. It would be a difficult goodbye, because the next 12 hours would change the will of everyone. In the operating room, there was noticeable tension. There were no options. Betchemeg's heart was so big, some of it was removed. The bad valve was replaced, and then the race against time began.
That is amazing. That is just a heart you don't get to see.
Yeah.
This is her aorta.
Wow.
This is her SVC.
Bigger than her.
Uh-huh. This is her pulmonary vein.
That's huge.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
The medical team could not stop the bleeding. Betchemeg was put on and off the heart-lung bypass machine 3 times. The team was afraid once would be too much. While some would give up, Dr. Roxanne Newman and the others refused to quit, even trying things others would have scoffed at. But it worked. And finally, after a 12-hour surgery, Betchemeg was extremely critical, but alive.
Where's this coming from? Suction and find out. Yeah, Bovie first.
From Floyd.
A sight, a smile, no one expected. Less than 8 hours after her touch-and-go surgery, Betchemeg is not only awake, she is grinning at those who cannot believe what they are seeing.
We were very concerned. Again, we were concerned to begin with, but post-operatively, she had a very stormy few hours.
If someone would have told me last night when we were out of the operating room and Betchemeg was brought back up here, when we left the hospital at 11 o'clock last night, if anyone would have told me that I'd walk in the hospital this morning and Betchemeg would be off the ventilator smiling, I would have not believed them. And when I walked in, I stood at the door and I just stared. I thought, this is incredible. It's just really is a miraculous recovery that she's had after the long surgery. Betchemeg was definitely on the edge, but even really every day that went by made her weaker and weaker, and so she really needed surgery before, but she was just right on the edge of not being inoperable.
Some never thought Betchemeg would make it through the night, much less be this alert just hours later.
He's pretty stoic, huh?
He is.
Pretty mad.
Across the room, Monkbuyer lay in obvious discomfort. Some new little friends from Fargo Moorhead came for a brief visit. Recovery would take time, but everyone knew they had just witnessed the Mongolia miracle.
It's a thrill, you know, really. Everybody says thank you for doing this. Fact is, thanks for letting me participate in it, because again, with our type of field, we don't have the opportunity to go elsewhere and try to offer this to different countries. It requires so many people and so much support, it just wouldn't be practical to do that. So this is an opportunity we wouldn't have otherwise.
I'm so thankful, all of you, and then even the doctors who saved her life. Dr. Newman is just great, you know, and she gave the life to her back.
For the next 3 days, Monkbuyer and Betchemeg would continue their quick recovery. More children from Mongolia came to America throughout the fall and winter, all through the Children's Heart Project of Samaritan's Purse. Fargo's own Dr. Susan Vitalis heads up the program, which brings children here for heart surgery. when that operation is just not available in their homeland. The project has changed and saved many lives, the very reason why Vitalis calls it a labor of love.
And she was having a lot of muscle pain.
I
Is that better?
was kind of rubbing her neck this morning. She's got some knots back there. I can
Yeah.
feel in her shoulders.
Just from laying on the table for so long.
As Betchameg continued her amazing recovery, even Dr. Susan Vitalis could only shake her head at this little girl whose smile had captured the hearts of doctors and nurses at Fargo's Medicare Hospital.
You're amazing.
This is the first time Vitalis, a Fargo native and director of the Children's Heart Project, has been able to bring children to her hometown. And what a challenge it's been, watching Betchameg bounce back after she was nearly lost on the operating room table.
Morning.
How are you?
Hi. How are you?
To think what she went through and to see where she is now is just phenomenal. It's every day walking into the unit. She's just progressed so much each 24 hours that it is truly miraculous. I mean, her smile, it says it all. It just says it all. Her spirit is so strong that I think has really helped. She just is a fighter.
After serving as a volunteer doctor in war-torn areas like Rwanda, Somalia, Bosnia, and more, Vitalis decided that she would turn her fascination with medical mission work into a full-time job. Now, over 140 children have come to America from countries where no heart surgery is available for these children.
It's 120 kids would be either have died already or be destined to die without this project. And to be able to look back and each child, each one of those 120 kids has a story, has a life, has family, has friends.
First Lutheran of Fargo is hosting the children and their loved ones. Vitalis has brought children to America's biggest cities, but she says no welcome has been larger than Fargo-Moorhead's.
The community response in Fargo is the best that we have ever had anywhere.
Today, she helps guide Betchameg as the miracle girl takes one of her first walks.
Oh, Betchameg. Wonder Woman.
The daily headaches of visas, passports, government interference are all forgotten for a few moments when the Children's Heart Project can step back, see the faces and the smiles of those who have now new life. There were many firsts for the Mongolian children during this visit to the Red River Valley, sleeping in beds, eating hot dish, going fishing. The 6 weeks went by quickly, but they were days filled with summer fun. It was front page news the day that Monkbuyer and Betchameg were released from Maricare's Children's Hospital. What an accomplishment. Their smiles would be missed, but not forgotten. An army of volunteers from First Lutheran kept up with the doctor's appointments and an aggressive rehab schedule for both children. In between, the fun began. There were some unforgettable days at the lake, canoeing, baiting a hook. Monkbuyer attended his first Babe Ruth baseball game. He made a lot of friends. Both came to a summer tradition, the Concordia cobber feed, a new vegetable, and a time to be made honorary cobbers.
Let's give them a hand again, folks. God bless you both.
The Mongolians also learned what summer relaxation at the lake was all about. Waves, air mattresses, and yes, even jet ski rides, all a first. A farewell at Fargo's First Lutheran. Gifts. Songs. The doctors and nurses came to see the children for the last time.
I learned a few words dealing with taking care of Bachemek and Mongolian. I remember that Uftij Benno was do you have pain? At least sort of like that. And I was working one night with Deb, our wonderful PICU nurse back there. And after a while, we talked about, pain, you say this, and after a while it became Ufda Bueno. So anyway, it was our privilege, and it was just again an honor to take care of such wonderful people. Thank you.
The community support has just been phenomenal. All the hospital support, all the church support, the community support is unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Tears, but at the same time, joy. The kids came here with no chance except this surgery, and now a new chapter in their lives. Before sunrise, Monkmeyer and Bechemek prepared for the long flight home. It will take 2 days. After 6 weeks here, life-saving heart surgeries, many new friends, even becoming honorary citizens of North Dakota, everyone knew it would be tough for the Mongolian children to say goodbye. But no one predicted this.
It's beyond words. They've touched our lives to the very depth of our hearts and souls, and to see them leave is tough for everybody.
Despite the language barrier, Monkmeyer and Bechemek grew to love the people of Fargo-Moorhead. And obviously, the community got back even more.
It's amazing. It's beyond words. The lives that have been changed with this now, the bond that has been created in these 5-6 weeks is like we've known them for a lifetime.
It supports my faith. I've received from these people probably more than I've given. And that's always kind of a surprise, how much you receive back.
It's hard to say goodbye to my friends. I'm so thankful all of people who helped me and then made, doctors who made the surgery. And then I loved all of them. Now it's hard to say goodbye to them. We just hooked on the people's heart, the love, taking care of us is like their own children. You gave the life back to her. That's the big difference in her life.
Northwest Airlines, Flight 217, service to Minneapolis, St. Paul is in the boarding process at this time.
When Northwest Airlines called the Mongolians for the flight, those who first hugged the children were the last to hold them. The shy boy who became a class clown sobbed in the arms of his host family, and Bechemek, who was given little chance of even surviving this ordeal, tried to smile through her tears. What a dramatic trip this had been. 2 kids, a world away, getting new life, now headed home, after changing the heart and the soul of this community.
Airline Flight 217.